celebration for. He wanted to have celebrating church.
Oh, okay.
And so we celebrated with him in Crystal Rucker. Turmeric Brazil, though.
That's a one we need to
That's
remember.
A boy. He's a beast.
Okay.
When I say he got on that mic there,
Uh-huh.
and he went from one octave to another.
The octave.
You know, what's his name? Is it James Hall? That sing? Who is that sing?
James Henderson?
No.
Not Henderson?
No, these octaves is totally
The one that go way up.
He went there. He
Way
Wow.
up.
He reached up in the Latin.
Oh, I was about to say the
And then
mighty
he
clouds
went
of
into
joy.
the lower.
I don't know why I went there.
You know what, Husky, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I thought about the sportatorium.
Okay,
I'm
hold
serious.
on.
Wow, I ain't heard the sportatorium since wrestling
I
in the
know.
Von Erichs.
Hold
I
on.
know.
Okay. Let me say this. I'm beginning to learn Donna a little bit more.
I can tell.
Donna's very old. I thought I was old school. Y'all know me.
Because we get on you about
Y'all
being
get
old
on me
school.
about being old school.
But you have
Donna
to be real
Davis-
old school to bring the body clouds of joy
Wait a
out
minute.
your mouth.
Wait a minute. Real talk. I have their album at home. I do.
She
But
got
wait a
the
minute.
A-track.
Donna last night was talking about, I'm always getting her about a cell phone.
Yeah.
I think she had my first.
She still got a flip phone?
My first Fisher Price phone, and I think she just got rid of her flip phone.
Oh, wow, yeah.
No, I got rid of the flip phone and went to a BlackBerry. Blackberries were not even in anymore.
They still make
They
those?
were going out. They were going out. I
Then
got
she
the
got
last
hers.
one.
Oh,
the
yeah.
last one.
Like, when you call for repairs, they say stuff like, it's out of order.
Right.
It's outdated. Hey,
Yeah, they said,
hey,
ma'am, you have to get a new phone.
They say stuff like, we got to outsource.
All right, everybody. Anyway, that's enough for Donna because she already told us she's still on MySpace and all that. So that's all right, Donna.
Can I give y'all just a snippet of my principle for a day?
No, hold on.
No.
We'll talk about that. Because
Oh,
I was going to ask you something about that, but I want you to talk about that. But hold on.
This romper on.
On today, we have a great show. We have Mr. Chris Howell of the Chris Howell Foundation. I am so honored to have him be my guest on today. Yeah!
I am glad to be here.
Well,
for
thank you. Thank you for accepting the invitation.
Awesome.
He's a busy person, but he's going to talk to us about his Chris Howell Foundation and how he raises awareness of AIDS and HIV. And he has this Know Your Status Dallas. Know Your Status. I had to print that out. I thought that was so groovy. So we're going to talk to him on today, but let's go into our morning
Wait a minute,
banter
how's your
because.
husband? How's your husband?
Well, I was not going to say anything, but he's awesome.
Stephanie, you were going to say something about your husband.
I promise. I was driving this morning and I said, should I say something about Lewis today?
You are.
And I said
You
I said
always
something
do.
about him last week, so it's William's
It's
turn.
William's
this week.
turn. It's William's turn.
So my son William
Uh-huh.
will be here Monday night, and we're going to go to the fair on Tuesday. So we're going to Facebook Live all day.
So he's going to spend time with you.
He's going to spend time with his mom, so he can go to
Well,
the
my
fair.
mom went to the fair yesterday without her children, so I told her I'm going to call CPS. So
Why?
because she didn't take her children with her to the
Donna,
fair.
y'all 172 years old. She don't have to take you to the fair. Okay?
Child, by this time, y'all should be running.
All right, everybody. So
I got a question.
what's
the
okay?
question?
I got a question, and this is a serious question.
Okay.
So, I know that you got a great guest, but so my question for you is this is for you, Stephanie, and you, Donna. How do you think you've done thus far in your 6 months in your 8 months of radio? How do you feel you've done in things?
Oh. Well,
I'm interviewing you right now.
Oh, you're interviewing me?
I'm taking
Oh,
producer's
okay.
privilege right now.
Okay, you have 1 minute to interview me.
I mean,
1 minute.
get to the question.
I think I'm doing
You
very
did.
well.
Uh-huh.
I'm growing, and I think I'm doing very well. I'm getting a lot of good responses, and have a lot of great guests that come on the show.
You do. You actually have funny guests.
Are they funny?
Yeah, your guests, they I could deal with them because they somehow turn it into a joke or we laugh and they all have
But I
fun. So
think-
I'm expecting our guest today to be somewhere in the funny
Oh,
line.
I think so. But I mean, to God be the glory. To God be the glory. I think that I think we're doing very well.
Okay.
And by the response, I mean, I have people that tell me that they're listening that I don't even know that they're
Right.
listening to the show, and they give like a really good response. They think we have great guests. They think we are funny in the morning when we do our morning banter. So yeah, I think
Well,
it's going good.
you're one of the best at promoting your show.
Well, praise Jesus.
You know, you promote your show on a Thursday at 3 a.m. You're starting to get like me. I'm starting
You
to
know
get nervous.
why? No, let me
getting
tell
like
you
me,
why.
though. Why?
Because my husband has to be at work at 2:00 in the morning, so I stay up to make sure that he has his lunch
Right.
and everything. And so
good wife.
I try to be. And so I
What's his name? What's your husband? Go on, say his name.
Louis, hey Louis. But
That's when you know you in love when you can like. Did you see her face? I said, "Say that." She said, "Oh, Louis."
but I so I'm up and I'm like, well, I can't go back to sleep right.
So
When I don't go to sleep, I just
Right.
stay up, but I'm not sleeping right then. And so I'm just up and I'm still doing
You
what I
starting
need
to
to
get
do.
like me. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Shout out to you.
Hey,
So Donna, how
hey,
you think
Tony,
you doing?
Hey, Marcia.
I think I've come out a lot. I was on the shy side at first.
When
I first started, don't act like that.
Donna, you ain't never been shy.
Yes, I have.
We have never associated the word shy
With
and Donna
Yeah.
in any stretch of the word.
Because I'm the one and only, and so the one and only can't be shy.
Who?
Me.
Donna, that don't even fit you. Like everybody in this room, did you notice how the room went down? Like
I'm looking some giving a side
everybody in this
look.
room look at
I'm
you
giving a
like
side eye.
serious.
So.
temperature of the room went down when you said I'm shy.
Yeah, and then I look back when Stephanie kept saying I need a co-host, and I was trying to push it off on somebody else.
Right.
Now I'm really having fun.
Oh, okay.
Because it was almost
Y'all
like
need to look at
it was almost like if I didn't get a co-host that I wasn't gonna have a show anymore. I kept saying, Stephanie, you're doing everything by yourself, and I was doing everything by myself. Because sometimes I find it. Now we talked about this. It's sometimes hard to find people that support your vision and can work with you and do some things. So I really had to pray about it because I was here by myself for a long time. But anyway, is that it for that question? Because we got a few things we have to talk about before we get to our guests.
Oh,
Did we
my
answer that?
last thing.
Very last.
Shout out to Juanita Bottom. You was
no, he did not go there. Hey, Lisa.
Okay.
Oh, my little sister said you have never been shy.
Okay, so everybody, notice my purple shirt. Now y'all know on last week, see purple. Last week I wore pink.
This is domestic violence, right?
For breast cancer awareness. On last week I wore pink. So this week I wore purple for domestic violence awareness month. This month, and you all know that I told my story. And I'm gonna be honest, y'all. Prior to being on this show, I never told a lot of people that I was in domestic violence. Marriage.
Yeah. Now you all on Instagram.
I know. Did you see my picture?
Telling everybody now.
Because once you really start talking about it, and like yesterday, talking to somebody about what I had gone through, and just the way they were paying attention is like, wow, maybe they were going through the same thing.
Everybody in America needs to wear the purple ribbon.
But let me tell you,
because Trump is being so domestically violent against us.
Moving right along. But I told y'all we're gonna pray for our president. But let me tell you this: I was watching the news.
I pray for Obama all the time.
Y'all, we're not gonna have that discussion today. But I was watching the news, and they were talking about domestic violence. And I guess when we always talk about it, we talk about, of course, the women getting beat, but like we talked last week, and we know that the men. But we never really talk about the children that are affected by domestic violence. And so I was watching the news, and they had this young man on there. Oh gosh, and I have to go to the website to remember his name. But I don't know if y'all remember the shooting. I think it was last year or maybe year before last in DeSoto. I think this guy was one of the Maverick Maniacs or something. Well, they had the lady's son on the news. They told him the way he was shot, he would never walk again. They were just saying all these things he would never be able to do. But God is so faithful.
But God.
And now he's a student at Mountain View College, and he's doing well. And he says, I pray all the time. I pray all the time. I pray all the time. But it just lets the enemy know that he's defeated. And like I said last week, we have to always find the good even in the bad. And that was the good in the bad. But we have to remember, and Ms. Howell, what do you think about this? How domestic violence affects the children. There are children. Because I remember that's the main reason why I got out of my marriage was because of my son.
Right.
And so, what do you think?
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, we've seen it play out too many times where those who become abusers are those who witnessed it going on in their homes. So in some cases, they begin to think that that's okay. They think it's appropriate. It not only affects our sons, but it also affects our young girls. Young girls, if they see someone continue to be in an abusive relationship and accept that, then she begins to think that's normal behavior and find herself in an abusive relationship and think that it's okay to stay. So it certainly has a huge impact on our children. I think you're doing a great thing for bringing it up.
It does. And so, if you are in a domestic violent relationship, marriage, whatever it is, please know to get out, get some help, pray about it, whatever you got to do. And I had to, and I've said this before, because if we tell people to get out, and sometimes it's easier said than done. And I always go back to my situation. I always go back to that movie with J-Lo called Enough. How she had to plan that. And for me, I had to plan it, but I thank God I'm out of it. So,
I don't want to cut you off, but you brought me into the conversation.
Because
we always talk to the victims, certainly, and that's rightfully so. But I think we need to also talk to the perpetrators.
Right.
If you are an abuser, there is help for you out there as well.
Right.
Seek out the help that you need, because many times a guy doesn't want to be an abuser, but he's suffering from low self-esteem or some type of hurt himself, and that has caused him to act out in that way.
Right.
So he needs to seek the help that he needs to get the treatment that he needs to get out of that type of lifestyle.
Man, that's good stuff.
So I think it's important that we also address it from both angles.
That's right. That is so right, Mr. Howell. So thank you for that. All right, hey, before we go further, I want to everybody. I pray for Sherelle, our intern. Yeah. She had another death in the family, so she's. I think it was her mother's brother. So we want to keep Sherelle in prayer. Now, one thing we have about a minute to kind of talk. Girls in the Boy Scouts.
Oh,
what do y'all think about the girls are now being able to join the Boy Scouts? What do you think, Bikoski?
I mean, they let them do everything else. I mean, what's sacred anymore?
Yeah.
That's why they got the Girl Scouts.
For the girls.
Yeah.
Well, from what my client was telling me, she said that some of the concerns were, which I just thought if this was a concern, why not add it to the Girl Scout program? But she said that one of the concerns was that girls are not able to go like on the riding horses and learning about different nature things that the boys do.
That's not their fault. That's the Girl Scouts' fault.
Well, that's why I say that's something they should maybe add to the Girl Scout program. If there's something that come in, some girls are just me for myself. Now I don't want to be out. I was a den mother with Williams Boy Scout troop, and we had to go camping one day, and I almost think I was gonna make it out there in those woods, not knowing where I was. But I don't know. They're doing a whole lot from that, and I just really want. Okay, so I'm getting. I always tell us to pray for our president. I know we got to wrap this up, and we're going to continue to pray for our president, President Donald Trump.
You're right. I pray for Obama
but
all the time.
Stop it. He's not your president. But he's not.
He is.
Stop.
He is.
But I do not like the fact that he's talking about pulling FEMA from Puerto Rico. I don't like that. But I don't like that. And so let's pray for our brethren and sister in Puerto Rico, but that they continue. Because I was looking at something online this morning where they were saying, because they need water and gas and all that stuff, and so they were saying that they were getting their water from some type of pump or something that was contaminated with something, but that's all that they have to give them right now. So let's pray that they get some aid, and that Donald Trump's heart is changed on that situation so that they can get some help.
That his whole situation changed.
Okay.
That he get impeached.
Okay, well, until that happens, let's pray for him and pray for his mind. Yeah, so we say we prayer warriors, so we've got to pray for this man. We've got to. I'm sorry, he's our president.
I'll be honest with you.
I don't know if I really want you to be.
I don't want to pray for him. I don't want. I got to.
Well, don't pray for him with a heart then, because if you
I pray, but it won't be a long prayer. It'd be a quick one, Lord. Touch me, Lord.
The fervent, effectual prayers of the righteous man availeth much. Now I got to throw the Bible on you. I'm sorry. That's what I'm going to do. But anyway, it's time for us to go ahead and go on break. We're featuring music today from D.L. Marshall.
You just walk past me with like as petty as I am. You think you just go?
I don't care. I don't care. Right is right.
You're right.
Right is right.
You're right.
Right is right.
Really
And
for president.
I
know, right?
Johnson. We have to accept what God allows. He has allowed Donald Trump to be our president.
And it's for a reason.
And we have to pray for him. All right.
I firmly believe that the Lord allowed it to happen so these folks would pray harder.
Well, then get to praying.
Come on.
Pray for him.
In unity.
Okay, well, pray for him.
I believe he's praying for
you can still pray for former President Obama, but let's still pray for Donald Trump. Okay,
I'm going to pray for him.
All right, I know you are. All right.
But I'm going to pray for him.
All right, we're going to be featuring music on today's show from D.L. Marshall. So tune in to the song that we're playing now. And if you like D.L. Marshall,
who?
D.L. Marshall.
Okay. Let me go ahead and get that Marshall stuff.
And
You don't want me to play this Tasha Cobb?
because that's not what I sent you.
Oh.
Okay, so
All right, I'm going to play Tasha, and then we'll go and we'll get D.L. Marshall stuff.
Okay.
I'm just playing.
Oh, I was going to say, I was about to fight you. No, and DL, if you're listening, I am so sorry for this drama.
No, we got it.
But look him up on Facebook, DL Marshall. He's on Facebook, and so we're going to be featuring his music on the show. When we come back, we're going to be talking to our guest today, and that is Mr. Chris Howell. I'm so excited to have him.
Excited to be here.
Yes. Oh man, I tell you, I've been following him on Instagram, and I'm just
break.
okay. All right, we're on break.
They know we here.
Oh, we were just told that it's now Scouts of America, so there's no boys, no girls, Scouts. Just Scouts.
You scared your ass. Wait to tell us till after the show.
I mean, yeah, your person. Who said that? Somebody on
bad about the Boys and Girls Scouts of America.
Yeah, her commenter. All right, we'll be back, everybody. Hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. Ernest Hunter, I am not a celebrity. Quit saying that.
You are a celebrity.
He always thank
You are the Stephanie.
Hello, Ernest. Thank you. Let me see. Ernest Hunter, he just been listening. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Hey, Joy, thanks for tuning in. Marsha, Austin. Hey, we have a great guest on the show today. His name is Chris Howell, and he's going to be talking to us about his foundation, the Chris Howell Foundation, and he has a campaign that says "Know Your Status." So make sure that you tune in, listen to this information. It can be beneficial to us. We're going to be talking about myths and misconceptions of HIV and AIDS, and it's a lot of them out there. So it's going to be some great information that we're going to get today. So make sure that you tune in to the Inspirational Diva show here on dfwigospel.com, because y'all see we have fun and they're crazy, but we really do get some good information. All right, so there's a song that's going to be coming up. This is from D.L. Marshall. Look him up on Facebook. He has a good old school sound with gospel music. So make sure you tune in. Continue to tune into the show. We're going to go on break, so don't go anywhere. So you'll hear our background banter. All right, stay tuned.
Hey, cousin.
Yeah, my Vanessa, she tuned in every Saturday.
Come on, Vanessa.
Every Saturday.
Hey, Nelson, where's Seconda? Seconda, I haven't even seen Seconda on. Oh,
She
my
might be
Lord.
running late. She might have to use brush. She brushing her teeth, washing her face, getting ready for the show.
Oh,
She getting ready.
oh, don't let nothing happen to Seconda.
No, look at Big. He is asleep. Look at him. Oh, thing.
Husky.
So y'all never really go on. You break from the radio.
Yeah, break from the radio and stay on Facebook.
Got two different
Y'all
shows
pray for
going on
Big
here.
Right.
Big Husky is he got up early this morning. I don't know if he's sleeping
Y'all
and
pray for Big
typing
Husky today.
like Donna do when she comes to the hair salon. She falls asleep
Maybe that's
with her
good
phone.
sleep.
Her phone in her hand in mid type, and she's sleeping.
And I fall asleep. I sure do.
And she snores too. I'm just gonna put it
That's
out there,
right.
everybody know.
When I used to club, I used to sleep in the club.
What?
Post up in one
See?
of them corners.
That's when you don't even need.
Prop that purse up like a pillow.
You
Baby.
go to the wrong club.
Okay. Well, because she went to sleep.
See, I was riding with people. I was riding with people, and I didn't want them to cut
See?
their phone off.
See?
You know,
Oh, really?
so I just
See,
post up. Y'all
Let me
come
tell
get
you.
me when you're ready.
Sleep in the corner.
I had a client years ago. Well, I still do her hair now, and so she would tell me. Well, she and her friend, they would tell me that they didn't get home from the club until 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning. I said, no, that just cannot be. How can you stay at the club at 5 o'clock in the morning? So I decided I was gonna go to the club with them. Now I was not a clubber, but I just wanted to see what do you do until 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. So we went to the main club, which was the Executive.
Oh, yeah.
And so we went there. Then after we left there, we found some other little hole in the wall called members only. I said, what? How do you even find? I was just wondering how they even found this place. Then we went to another place. I'm like, this is what y'all do every single weekend. And when I promise you, we did not get home until 5 something in the morning. I was so tired. I just could not believe that they do this every weekend. And one of them was married.
Oh, I used to do
She
it
said,
7
girl,
days
please,
a week.
she said, girl, when I'm coming home, honey, my husband leaving going to work. I'm like, and you still married? Okay.
Yeah.
No,
What's wrong? Son ain't going right in bed. Tell you that's the truth.
Right.
If she's spending nights out at the club, something may happen right in the bedroom.
I agree.
That's just what
Come
that
on,
is.
see?
Yes,
Don't you
Ernest.
agree with me?
Yes, Ernest. They're supposed to be changing the
Let me
name
let
to
you
just
know something.
Scouts
No
of America.
woman
So no
going
Boy
to
Scouts, no
that
Girl Scouts,
bucket
just Scouts.
bedroom
So I guess now
house.
boys will be able to join the Girl
Say,
Scouts. I don't know. It's crazy.
Come on.
You know?
Yeah.
Or stay
Yeah.
out all night long.
Come on.
So
It just depends on where the love is.
weird.
See?
But
Y'all
that's
ready?
the world we live in. All right.
Let's-
Yeah.
Let's
All
go
right.
back in 5, 4, 3.
All right, everybody, we're back. Your girl Stephanie Dixon, the Inspirational Diva. You're tuned into the Inspirational Diva show. You just heard music from D.L. Marshall titled "God Will Deliver, Deliver Me." Did he deliver you? Hallelujah. All right, well, we are up to the best show, and that is interviewing our guest, Mr. Chris Howell of the Chris Howell Foundation. Mr. Howell, how are you?
I am doing wonderful.
Yeah,
It's just
his
been a great
voice.
morning. Just sit here and
no,
listen to
you
you
got
all
a radio
banter and go
voice.
back and forth.
The man with the golden voice.
Oh, listen,
I see why you have that title.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
So,
You're making
Mr.
me
Howell,
blush. I'm really, really
so, Mr. Howell, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful.
Well, good. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm a Dallasite, born and raised here in Dallas. Grew up in West Dallas. And
Side.
let's see here. I'm the last of 6 children.
Okay.
My mother had 6, single parent home there in West Dallas. My wife and I have been together since we were 14, and we now have 3 children. Our children are 25, 26, and 27.
Awesome.
We had our first at 16, our third by the time we were 18. I don't encourage it for a lot of people, but it worked for us. So we're now 43 and empty nesters. And have a 7-year-old grandson. I have to include Braden.
Braden, yes, I saw that. The proud pop-pop.
I am.
No.
So we have Chris Howell, as you pointed out, we have the Chris Howell Foundation, we have Chris Howell Communications, and then we have Howell Consulting Group.
Oh, wow.
So we're growing 3 businesses at the same time.
Right. Now, tell me about the Chris Howell Foundation.
The Chris Howell Foundation came about as a result of, first of all, I have a brother who passed away due to HIV and AIDS in 2006. My brother's name was Cedric Howell. Okay. So Cedric passed away, and at the time he passed away, I didn't really know much about the disease. And it was one of those situations when he first contracted the virus, we really kind of stayed away from him because, again, it was at the time when you didn't know a lot. You thought there was a way for you to touch him in some kind of way, contract the virus. Again, I had young children at home, so I didn't want to be around him and then bring that to my children. So at the time he passed away, I thought, man, I really missed some years of his life and didn't really have the opportunity to interact with him. And when I got some type of a platform, I thought, let me try to do something about this just to try to raise awareness because I know how it impacted my family. So I was going to do an interview with someone and just put the story out there, put the awareness out there through an interview format because Chris Howell Communications is a video production company. Well, in that interview, I learned about National Black HIV AIDS Awareness Day. We were doing this interview in November. National Black HIV AIDS Awareness Day is February 7th of each year. So I thought we'll do an event February 7th just to recognize that day. Well, as it turned out, as in the planning of that, my wife thought, you know what, we need to keep this going because we were learning that more and more people had been affected by the virus and just had never said anything about it. So we formed the Chris Howell Foundation as an opportunity to continue to increase education and raise awareness regarding HIV and AIDS. And that was in January of 2016 that we've actually been in existence since then.
Wow. Yeah. So you mentioned something, and I was going to ask you about this. You mentioned something about being afraid to be around your brother or talk. Tell me, what are some of the misconceptions, the myths that you hear or about people with HIV, like as far as how to contract it or the transmission of it? What are some of the myths that you have?
It's still some of those same old myths. Like I felt like I could touch him and his sweat would give me I would get the virus by touching his sweat or something of that nature. So you cannot contract it that way. Let me make sure we say that. You cannot contract it from a toilet seat. You cannot contract it from wearing the same clothes as someone. Sometimes we go to a store and we want to try on clothes. Oh, no, I don't want to try on those clothes. I don't know what they had. They may have had HIV or whatever. No, HIV wouldn't be something that you can catch from trying on somebody's clothes. So it's those type of things, eating off the same fork as someone. And we think, I'm going to contract HIV if someone comes to my home and have dinner and eat off the same fork. That's not going to be the case. You can catch it through saliva, but not in that particular case. Those are most of the ones that we actually hear.
Right. Okay. Now, do you find with the awareness that you're bringing to people, and I'm just a few weeks ago I was watching the show called The Doctors, and the singer Aaron Carter was on there, and he was on the show basically because he thought he had AIDS. He was lost a lot of weight. He was looking real sick and everything, and so he got on the show so that he could be tested.
Really?
Once he found out that he had some other issues too. Okay. So they were offering him help, for all the other issues of drugs, of drinking and everything. And so once he found out that he did not have AIDS or HIV, he was like, oh, wow, thank you. Okay, so it's just like immediately he almost started rejecting the help that they wanted to give him. It was like, I just wanted to make sure I didn't have this, and so he went on to his reckless behavior. You know, do you see that happening a lot with people? They just, you know, kind of start just having just reckless behavior when it comes to their sexual activity?
I will say that we certainly run into a lot of people who have reckless behavior, what you could describe as reckless behavior. But I think if someone has taken upon themselves to be tested, once they test and they test negative, they don't actually have it, I would think that person then would be relieved in the fact that they're not positive. But I would think they're now going to be more responsible and not continue in reckless behavior.
Right.
That's what we found in most cases.
Okay.
I guess I'm really surprised when you say a young man come on national television in order to be tested without even knowing, you know, prior to. But it does tell you that he had engaged in a lot of reckless behavior for him to even assume that that was what he had.
Right.
And that's what we were trying to help people to understand. You don't, and let me make sure I say this. Just because someone is HIV positive doesn't necessarily mean that they have been reckless behavior, and they've just been sleeping around with a lot of people. There's a young lady who is HIV positive. She slept with one guy one time, and she contracted HIV from this young man. So it's not that, and that's part of the problem with people wanting to come forward and admit that they're positive, because they don't want someone to assume that they're gay, they don't want someone to assume that they have been promiscuous in some way, and they don't want someone to assume that they're a drug user. All of those things are some of the myths that actually play into this. It just could be that you trusted someone, you let your guard down, and you trusted someone that you thought was being faithful to you, and that person was not, and you can contract the virus from them that way.
Right. Donna, have a question?
I just want to know, since your brother passed away with HIV, so how did that truly make you feel as the little brother, that your big brother had contracted the HIV?
It really hurt me, but I had been hurt early on. My brother was living in a homosexual lifestyle, and I was hurt when I looked up to him and then I found out that he was living in a homosexual lifestyle. I didn't embrace his lifestyle. As his little brother, we would fight all the time. As a kid, I thought that I could beat that out of him to make him become a man, and I was wrong in that. And I later began to, say, hey, that's my brother. I've got to love him anyway. So I did accept his lifestyle, but then I didn't expect to get hit with the fact that now I'm going to lose him at 33 years of age. And I will tell you, it wasn't until maybe about 2 weeks after my brother's death that I even began to understand the finality of death. I thought, man, I will never see him again on this earth. And I had never understood that because I had never had anyone that close to me to pass away at that time. And when that hit me, I thought, man, that hurts. It knocks the wind out of you. You know, when you lose someone, you think you'll never see him again. I know some people may think that's, crazy because you understand death, but I didn't understand it at that time because I had never lost anyone.
Right, especially if someone that close to you. It's,
you expect to lose a parent, because at some point you feel mom, dad, they're going to go. But when you grow up with your sibling, you're thinking, okay, we're going to be together for a long time.
For a long time.
Yeah, and that was not the case.
So for those that possibly want to go and get tested, like you said, a lot of people just don't even want to be disclosed. Now, I've been tested several times because I've had several surgeries. And so once they do the surgeries, they, want to test you. And, at first, when they sent me to the place to get tested, I was like, why did they send me here? But where are some of the places that people can go and get tested and know that, just feel comfortable and safe being tested?
Oh, you can do one thing. Go to our website, chrishowellfoundation.org. On our homepage of our website, you can type in your zip code, and it will tell you the areas, facilities in your area where you can actually go and be tested.
Okay.
We also have a partnership for those who are in Dallas. We have a partnership with UT Southwestern. UT Southwestern, the folks at Project Impact, you can actually call them. They will come out and test you wherever you are. Wow. They will meet you at a back alley. They will meet you in the corner. They'll come to your job, your home, wherever you are. They're going to give you a series of questions. And if you fall into that particular criteria, you have recently had sex. Now, some folks had sex in 10, 20 years, and they've had regular doctor's appointments. You don't have to be tested. Okay. Now, if you've had sex, unprotected sex, and you have not been tested recently, then yes, you certainly should go and get tested. But UT Southwestern will come out and test you on your job, in your home, wherever you are. But go to chrishowellfoundation.org, type in your zip code, and you can find areas. Even if you're out of state, out of Texas, you can then still find areas, facilities in your area to be tested.
So now, just say a person goes and gets a physical, because you're saying that if you have regular doctor's appointments, you don't have to worry about it. Now, is that something that doctors automatically do when you go get physicals, or is that something you have to specify that you want done?
I am so glad you asked that, because everyone assumes they drew my blood, so they said they're going to do some tests on me, so they tested for HIV. You have to specifically ask to be tested for HIV.
Wow. Yeah. Now, do you see, because we know there are a lot of medicines out there, we know that, things have progressed.
Yes.
Since HIV/AIDS was brought into existence, or however they let us know about it. I know a lot of people say it's a man-made disease, but
regardless of the fact how it's made, it's here.
However we got it.
Be aware of it.
However you're aware of it. Do you think that people are living longer with HIV, or do you think they're living longer with AIDS because of medicines, the progress in medication?
People are certainly living longer with HIV, and I want to make sure, let me answer your question first, then we'll come back and we'll make the distinction.
Okay.
People are certainly living longer with HIV. In fact, the lady who I did this interview with, who gave me this newfound knowledge, she has now been living 18 years as HIV positive. She has never had a AIDS diagnosis. Mm-hmm. She is HIV positive. Now, and it's because of medication. And while I applaud that and I appreciate that, because if someone's positive, it does allow them to live a long, healthy life. Mm-hmm. However, I think it's part of the problem to where it's caused us to let our guard down. Mm-hmm. Because it's not the immediate death sentence, people don't really take it as serious. But and they said, well, look at Magic Johnson. He has no sign of it. He's living a healthy life, all these type of things. But you don't want to contract this virus.
Right.
Certainly do the things you need to do to protect yourself, because you don't want to have to get the medication that they're giving you. Mm-hmm. You want to be able to live a long, healthy life without having to do all of that. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing. Second thing is, let's make sure we understand HIV is the virus that causes AIDS. Mm-hmm. You can't test for AIDS. You test for HIV. What happens is, from a HIV standpoint, if your viral load count drops below 200, then that gives you what you fall into what's called an AIDS status. Okay. That can be reversed if you're taking medication and doing all the things that you should do to get your health back in order. So that's why we're encouraging folks to get to know their status. First and foremost, hoping that you don't have the virus, and then secondly, make sure you do the things you can to prevent from having the virus. But should you test positive, if you get into care and get treatment, you can then, if you're in an AIDS diagnosis, you can reverse that to get back to an HIV positive status, and then still live a long, healthy life.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. All right, everybody. We're talking with Mr. Chris Howell of the Chris Howell Foundation, and he's giving us good information on today, just keeping us informed and aware of HIV/AIDS. When we come back from our break, we're going to be talking to him more, because he's not just the founder of the Chris Howell Foundation. He's also a speaker. He is a book author, and he is the man with the golden voice. We already hear that. So we're going to be talking more with him.
Radio voice.
Okay. Right? But we're going to be talking more with him. But right now, we're going to hear more music from D.L. Marshall right here on the Inspirational Diva Show on DFWIGospel.com.
Welcome.
There she is. Hey, Seconda, we was wondering where you were.
Yeah.
She's here, everybody. Seconda. All right, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for tuning in to the Inspirational Diva Shows. We're talking to Mr. Chris Howell, and he's giving us a lot of information about HIV/AIDS. So, about getting tested, about where you can go to get tested, everything. So, it's an awesome show. So, we're on break right now, so make sure you stay tuned in, because we are on break right now. We're listening to music from D.L. Marshall. So, look him up on Facebook, because he has some good music. That's D.L. Marshall on Facebook. So, thank you all for the hearts and the thumbs up and everything. I really appreciate it. But we'll be back in just a few minutes, all right? So stay tuned.
I bring this home. This is a fight. What you bring this home for? What you got?
I want to talk because a lot of people are not aware of that.
Right.
That is a way of empowerment for women.
Okay.
Yeah.
Come on,
awesome.
Thank you.
I never seen one.
There are a lot of women. Hey
everybody, okay, thank you all for tuning in to the Inspirational Diva Show. We're getting some really good information on today, and it's important information. So I know a lot of times we probably feel like, that people are not. Why is my...
you ain't always said. Don't get your voice.
And two look different. Okay, I'm sorry, that was crazy. But anyway, a lot of people are... we hear, he just got through telling us about some of the... we love you too, Seconda. Thank you. You're telling us some of the myths and misconceptions of how to contract HIV. So we hear you can't, the different ways you can't get it. So, we still want to love on people that have HIV/AIDS, because they're still human. They just have something that it just happened. It was part of their plan for their life, but we still want to pray for them and love on them. We don't want to shy away from anybody that may have HIV/AIDS. Just love on them and let's pray for them. But we've been getting some really good information today, and so you all stay tuned to the show, because we have more to talk about. Mr. Chris Howell, he is a man on the move. He's doing a lot of things, and I'm just grateful for him to have the heart and the passion to bring awareness to as many people as he can about HIV HIV/AIDS, and he does a lot more too. So just stay tuned, and we'll be talking to him more. Thank you, Ramon. Thank you, LD Mackey, for tuning in. Linda Ivan, Zanita. I hope I'm saying your name right. Andrea Carter. Hey, Shamitra, Gordon Allen, everybody that's tuning in. Thank you all so much. Ernest Hunter, I'm gonna get you because you being funny on here today. But thank you for tuning in. All right, so we'll be back in just a little bit as we're listening to music from D.L. Marshall. He's on Facebook. Make sure y'all look him up and purchase his they're talking silly in the background, but make sure that you look him up on Facebook, D.L. Marshall, and purchase his music. He has some good hand clapping, toe stomping music. All right, so all right, and look at Donna. Donna's so special needs. Y'all pray for Donna.
You don't know how to put one on, you shouldn't be doing it.
You know what? If you can't read,
there are a lot of people who don't know.
You're visual.
Even men assume they know how to use a condom, and we're really finding we really don't know how to use condoms.
Yeah, because why they break? You know, I'm just saying.
Some people are using the wrong kind of condom. That's why.
Don't overestimate your size.
A lot of times it's not even just size. It's the fact that he actually put it on wrong to begin with. He actually put it on backwards or something of that nature. And one of the big
You seem to be very knowledgeable of that. He just agreed. Yep. All right, we
There's a certain way you roll it on and all that.
There is a certain way you roll it. It's somewhat self-explanatory when you become knowledgeable.
In 5, 4, 3.
All right, everybody.
Carrying on.
All right, everybody. We're back. It's your girl. Hush. We're back. It's your girl, Stephanie Dixon, the Inspirational Diva. And we have Mr. Chris Howell of the Chris Howell Foundation. And so he's been talking to us about HIV and AIDS awareness. So he has given us something that he wants to talk about. Okay, bam! It's the female condom. All right, Mr. Howell, go ahead and talk to us about the female condom. I wanted to talk
about this female condom because we see the female condom as a way of empowerment for ladies. Many times when it comes to protection, we rely on someone else to have. Well, y'all rely on someone else to have protection. But in this particular case, you can put this condom on up to 4 hours prior to intercourse.
Wait a minute, why do they get to put these on 4 hours before? Why do we only get to put ours on right when it's time?
Because
but y'all get 4 hours to go.
We don't have the equipment to allow us to be able to do so. She can insert this up to 4 hours prior.
See? Okay.
That's the reason she needs this, because you have the Viagra. But in all seriousness, again, ladies, many times you find you go out to dinner and you go to the movies and you get back to the place, you say, you know what, nothing's going to happen tonight, and then something ends up happening, and no one has the protection. If you feel like there's a chance of something happening, you can actually place this in up to 4 hours prior to. And the big husky wanted to see what it looked like, so we're going to put it up. And Donald,
that's a biggie.
And Donald,
I got excited too.
Donald was so surprised that you could only use it once. You cannot use any condom more than once, okay?
I'm just saying.
But what you do, you actually will take this and you will insert this in this way here. Once you insert that, that will then fall into place right inside, and it will wrap itself around. You then take this and place this outside the lips of the vagina. When he inserts, you should then be able to let it go.
Okay, gotcha.
You cannot use this in conjunction with a male condom. Okay, you know that, right? You can only use one condom because you got rubber going against rubber. That's going to cause a problem. You don't have to hold it though.
You're trying to prevent the break. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to hold it the whole time. You only have to hold it when he's inserting. Once he's inserted, then you let it go. It should be a pleasurable experience for the both of you, and it's then protected.
And that's good information. So,
what do you mean? You don't
want him to know that you.
Well, you might need to let him know.
He don't know.
Well, she has some, but no. Why would you not want him to know? You need to know that you're protecting him and yourself.
What kind of being you be messing with?
But no, you won't. No, somebody needs to be responsible and use protection. And if he has a problem with that, then maybe you might want to save your FC2 for somebody else.
Well,
you want to feel it.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing with this.
Here's the thing with
this condom differs in the way from male condoms in the fact that he should be able to feel it. You should put lube on this. So when you put lube on this, it should feel just as natural as if he didn't have a condom on, which would probably be a lot more pleasurable than what you would if you had just a male condom. But I want to get back to what you said, because I think, again, that's an issue that has been raised, and I think we need to address that. as men, many times we say we don't want to use condoms, but I guess we really need to change our way of thinking on that, because we have to protect ourselves, we have to protect our mate. And many times folks are getting divorced, they're getting into new relationships, things of that nature. You've been out of the dating scene for a while. You're getting back into a world where, you've been out here for a weekend. These folks have been out here for a lifestyle. I encourage everyone, if you don't know your mate's status, then you certainly should use protection. You certainly should use protection.
So that brings me to the Know Your Status Dallas. Now, can you tell me about the Know Your Status Dallas?
I can, but can I tell you one other thing
Sure,
about this condom
go
thing?
ahead.
And it's not just for women. I think as men, many times men assume, and we have some material here that I'm going to leave with you guys.
Okay.
But many times, one of the biggest mistakes that men make with condoms is a man will go to put a condom on. He realizes he's putting it on wrong, so he then flips it over and then uses it the right way. You shouldn't do that, because in most cases, he has probably just placed semen on the pre-ejaculation on that condom. So when he then turns that around, that is now being placed on you. So if you're with someone and you notice that he has used the wrong condom, or put it on wrong and turned it around, you need to encourage him to get another condom. So don't just have one. If you just got that one, y'all have to skip that night.
Right.
You want to have another,
Right.
because if you want to
That's
protect
right.
yourself.
That's right.
I ain't trying to skip.
Yeah, because it could easily be transmitted just that fast. If he is indeed positive and turns that around and places that condom inside you, you can then become
And I'm
positive.
glad you said that too, because sometimes women, they're scared to say something, and
Right.
not just grown women. And I look at the fact, and we hate it, but young girls and young boys are having sex as well. And so this is information that those that are listening, you need to let your children know, about using protection and the correct way to use protection. And just as you said, if they turn that condom around, then that's it. We're not. If that's the only one you have, we're not doing anything tonight. And young people not be afraid to say that, because you want to protect yourself.
That's a very good point. We find so many women who ask, I think it was, Donna, it's kind of what you were alluding to even with that question, is that how do you have the conversation about condom usage if it's something you've never done? I would just very well say, hey, you know what? I come into a newfound knowledge about HIV. I'm learning some stuff that it can be easily transmitted. Neither of us have ever been tested. So let's go get tested and get to know our status if we're going to continue practice sex unprotected. If he does not want to go get tested, then you know what? We're going to have to use protection.
Right.
It's just that simple. I want to live a long, healthy life. I know you want to live a long, healthy life. Let's protect ourselves.
No, we'll just end that right there.
Extremely long condom, though.
We'll end it right there.
I want to know why their condoms is bigger than ours.
Well, it allows you to have more pleasure.
Oh, I like that type. I'm married. I can say that.
So, Mr. Howell, tell us how, if somebody wants you to come and speak to their group or church organization or school group about HIV, AIDS awareness, how can they get in contact with you?
ChrisHowellFoundation.org. Go to our website, ChrisHowellFoundation.org.
Okay, now quickly, you are also an author. You've written a book. You want to tell us real quickly about the book?
Sure. My book is entitled Man Talk, the Hard Things Men Never Talk About. And the book is a spinoff of a series that I did at the Potter's House for 3 years, from 2004 to 2007. We brought men in the second Wednesday of every month to talk about practical issues that we as men face. Men in communication, men in relationships, men in money, men in sex. Bishop Jakes had it covered on Sunday. So I was not trying to come in and preach on Wednesday. We were just getting down and dirty and talking about what we as men face. It was a men-only group. And there were so many men who couldn't make it because they were either at their own church or they just weren't in church at all. So we wrote the book as a way to allow men to engage in that conversation. Because
I got a question. I don't see I see a condom. I don't see the Chris Howell book. I don't see Big Husky's book for men folk.
she invited me to come. I didn't bring
She
the book.
didn't tell you?
She invited me to come and talk about the foundation,
I'm not
so I
going to
didn't
break
bring
on
the
you.
book.
You the guest.
Yeah, she only asked me to come talk about the foundation.
I'm in trouble. Quickly, can you tell us about the Know Your Status campaign?
Absolutely. Know Your Status Dallas is our signature event from the Chris Howell Foundation. So we have the foundation and the work that it does, but when we come out to the community, that's our way of saying, hey, Dallas, get to know your status. That's our way of encouraging people to get tested. And we understand it says Dallas, but we also go to Fort Worth and other areas. So we have taken the names. We have just not produced the literature that says, know your status Arlington, know your status Fort Worth, and all that stuff. Simply put, we're just trying to encourage folks to get to know their status in North Texas.
So if a person can't get in, if a person is not able to have you to come out for whatever reason, just say somebody's hearing this information and they say, you know what, I need to talk to my child. What is a way that you think they can open up a dialogue to sit down and talk to them? Because it can be an uncomfortable conversation. how can they
Wow.
talk?
We have tapes at the Chris Howell Foundation. Now, these tapes are produced by the state of Texas, so we actually have videos that you can use. I know most folks probably don't have a DVD player anymore, but some of us do.
Right.
If you still have a DVD player, you can put this DVD in and sit down with your child, and it makes the conversation a little bit easier because they hear it from someone else, and then they come to you with the questions, and then you help answer those questions that you guys both have from the video.
Wow.
And it may be an uncomfortable conversation when you start talking about sex, but it is so important to talk to our children about sex because you want them to get the correct information from you. You don't want them to get it on the street. So make sure if you can get. How can they get this DVD?
If you know what, if they actually email us, go to chrishowellfoundation.org, info@chrishowellfoundation.org. Email us, say that you want that DVD, we'll send it out to you.
info@chrishowellfoundation.org. So you can get this DVD so that you can talk to your children
Can
about.
I say, I know we're running close on time, but you talked about young people. One of the fastest growing populations of new HIV infections are young people, ages 13 to 25.
Now, I heard a statistic a few years ago about Kimball High School, the amount of HIV children there, it was just alarming that so many had that.
I don't know anything really specifically for as it
Right.
relates to Kimball, but I say just our young people in general. It's very important that you have the conversation with them
Right.
because you have them at home and you have that protection. They're in that bubble to where you don't allow anyone to come sleep over, things of that nature.
Right.
But when they're at school, there are things taking place in our high schools,
Yes.
middle schools,
Yes.
and elementary schools.
Elementaries,
There are
yes.
things taking place that you wouldn't believe. So it is very important that you have that conversation with your young person to make sure that they understand, A, don't engage in that type of behavior.
Right.
And if you're going to engage, talk to them about protection. Because again, our young men are sleeping with young men, our young ladies sleep with young
Right.
ladies, things of this nature. And it's really impacting our young people in a really negative
is.
way.
It
So we
really
have to have those conversations. You can't wait anymore. It used to be we wanted to wait till they were 16 to have the conversation. You have to start it as early as 7 years old now.
That's right.
Right. Mr. Howell, you have given us so much information today, helpful information, and we just pray that those that are tuned in would take this information and use it for the betterment of themselves. We thank you so much for being a guest on the show today on the Inspirational
you,
Diva
man. I'm
Show.
glad to be here.
It has been so fun.
Did you have fun?
I had a great time. I had a great time.
So we know you do more than just
I'm gonna miss. I know
regular
y'all gonna miss Donna next week when she.
I know.
know.
We know that you.
We got enough funny though. This palette over here.
I mean, and Donna just like, oh, you can only use it one time.
Yeah, that's kind
Dang.
of shocking that Donna. Okay, we're gonna pray for Donna. We're
The
praying
one and
for you,
only.
Donna.
Please do.
But already,
Don't take that on the cruise with you. I'll give you a.
all right, everybody, it's time.
I already used
It's time for God's text message of the day.
What does God say?
Before Sprint, T-Mobile, AT&T, or
Yeah.
Metro PCS had text messaging, God had already given us the greatest text message of all, and it's the Word of God. We need to find ourselves forwarding that word out so that others can be blessed by what God has to say to his people. And we must also reply to the text message by applying it to our lives every single day so that others can be blessed by what God is doing. Today's God text message of the day comes from James chapter 1 verse 19. It says, "Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath." Yes, Husky. Yes, Husky. What's your question?
So I know you said we supposed to forward it to the world. But am I still gonna be blessed if I don't forward it to them 10 people?
Yes, you will be blessed. Yes.
You sure?
You will be blessed.
Okay, because you know the saints be like, they hit your inbox and forward messages. And then they say if you don't say amen and forward it to 10 people, including me, you're not gonna be blessed.
Well, I tell you,
What about the
what?
one that say your phone gonna ring at 9 o'clock if you forward this to
Right.
12 people and God gonna bless you?
And then it'd be a bill collector.
All right, real quickly.
It's the devil.
Listen, real quickly before we go, I'm going to be at an event tonight. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to have to purchase my short film, Sunday Dinner Forgiveness.
why I ain't never got this film
Hold
that you
on,
got.
hush.
I wanna know.
Sunday Dinner Forgiveness is a short film that I wrote. It was the first place winner in the 2015 Irving Black Arts Film Festival. And so if you would like to purchase a copy, you can go to my website, Styling Diva Productions. That's Styling Diva Productions. And you can order a copy of Sunday Dinner Forgiveness. And once you order it, make sure you send me an email and let me know how you like the film. My contact information is on the back of the DVD. But you can go to Styling Diva Productions and get you a copy. And Big Husky, I do have a copy for you. And Mr. Howell, I have a copy
Do
for
not look at
you.
this movie. you will not go to hell.
Oh gosh, don't listen to Donna. See, there she is. There she go with that. We just finished talking about it.
You know, I always do the opposite of what somebody say to do. Just so I can find out if that's what's going to
But hey, everybody, thank you all so much for tuning in to the Inspirational Diva Show. Don't forget, you can tune into the Inspirational Diva Show on Saturday at 10 a.m. here on dfwigospel.com. You can send me an email at the Inspirational Diva Show. Let me know how you like the show. If you have a subject idea, please go ahead and send me an email, and we'll see if we can get it on. Don't forget that Jesus loves you. I love you, and there ain't a thing that you can do about that. We are closing out the show today with more of D.L. Marshall. Make sure you hit him up on Facebook and listen to his music and legally purchase his music. Legally. Do not get it out the back of Pookie's car. Because as Big Husky has said, what's going to be on there?
The bonus track.
The bonus track will not be on there.
It's going to have 10 tracks. You ain't going to get track 11. You ain't going to get track 11. They got that all-star mic toss. You ain't gonna get it.
And if you purchase your DVD out the back of Pookie's car,
it's
and
gonna
it's
be
wrapped
grainy.
up, if it's wrapped up in saran wrap, it's wrapped up in saran wrap.
It's next to the
that's not
pickles.
legal. So we want you to legally get it. Don't forget, go to the Chris Howell Foundation.org to get more information on our subject today. We've had a great show today. So you all have a blessed, a prosperous and productive weekend. And let's go ahead and show this again. Ladies, protect yourself, okay? Protect yourself. Mr. Howell, how can they get these? How can they get these?
You can actually get them at the health clinic, and you can also get them at CVS as well as Walgreens.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So CVS, Walgreens, and your doctor. So make sure that you protect yourself. And also make sure that know your status. Dallas, know your status. Arlington, know your status. Fort Worth, know your status.
Know your status.
Bonton, Oak Cliff, wherever you are, know your status. All right? Y'all have a prosperous and a productive day. See y'all later. Bye.
What I'm thinking about
we didn't talk about the dental dam. That's okay.
The who? The who?
Dental dam? That's okay. You just share it with your guests next time.
Okay.
But the dental dam is...
Well, we're still going live, so you can go ahead.
Oh, you're live.
Well, we got
What's the dental dam for?
Oral sex.
Wait a minute.
The female will actually place this over herself, and you can use it for a male as well, but the female will actually place this over herself, and she enjoys the pleasure, but then the man protects himself if she's positive.
Well, that ain't no fun.
And that's referred to as a dental dam.
A dental dam.
Yep.
Okay, and they can get that from their healthcare, their doctor also?
I don't know that you can get those at CVS or Walgreens. You can certainly get them from the health clinic.
From health clinic.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can just walk in and say, I need some dental dam.
And they're flavored.
Yes.
They say vanilla flavor.
I'm mad that you over there looking at the back of this vanilla flavor.
Oh my gosh. So there's a lot of things out there that people can get to protect themselves.
There are so many things out there to protect yourself. There is really no reason for us to still be transmitting this virus when you have all this stuff available to protect yourself.
And it's
if
not
you don't know your status, but first of all, know your status
Right.
and know your partner's status and stay committed to that relationship.
And even though we've talked about HIV/AIDS today, it's just protect yourself from any sexually transmitted disease.
There's syphilis. I mean, syphilis is certainly on the rise.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so we're talking about HIV, but I mean, you've got all of these other things that folks need to be concerned about as well.
Right.
Yeah. So I'll leave all this information with you.
Okay,
so
great. So everybody, you all see. Man, there's so many ways to protect yourself when you are having, when you're having sex. I mean, this is just great information. So we're going to make sure that we post this on my Facebook page, The Inspirational Diva Show, and also on my Instagram, The Inspirational Diva Show. We're going to make sure we get this information out to you. Parents, he talked about the DVD that you can get if you want to talk to your children about HIV, AIDS, or just talk about sex, period. This is some of the information that you can get. So he's leaving information with us also to make it easier for parents to talk to their children, because I know it can be an uncomfortable subject, but it's an important conversation that needs to be had with our children, because as I stated earlier, we want our children to get the right information from us, and before they go out there and not know what to do, if they should engage in sex. We want to encourage them not to have sex until their marriage, but because this is the day that we live in, we know that it may not be true for them to wait. But if they do decide to go ahead and have premarital sex, we want to make sure that they are protected. All right. Thank you all, everybody, for tuning into the Inspirational Diva Show. And y'all have a blessed day, okay? Love y'all. Bye-bye.